Welcome to the 7 Colours to Freedom, brought to you from 3omni.life. And by now, you're really starting to gain insight, I would hope, into the reality of the human condition, which can help you see where you can easily be acting and reacting, obviously through our conditioning, as we can't help but play the cards of red, orange and yellow, which are highly prone, obviously, to indoctrination and following authority. For example, the subtlety of resentment. You might feel a little resentful about something, but you are, and you become, that resentment. That same entity perpetuates back onto other people without you being aware of it, because the perceiver is the perceived. We are in a loop of our own internal imaginings. So the inner becomes the outer, and the outer can become the inner. So you can begin to see, depending on where you are in yourself, in developing the capacity to be aware of an entire field of perception that we're all influenced by to varying degrees. So what we're doing here is we're learning to understand that field and learning whether we can unlearn our own conscious or unconscious conditioning within that. Within the heart of green, where new things are seen, one discovers what was, what is, and what always will be in the future. The old paradigm, which is in the lower aspect, is always what wasn't, what is now, and what one day won't be, as in the idea, for example, of our physical death. Yet when we light the candle of peace within, there is a realm of peace that was always there, is, and always will be in the future. There is a natural law that says a lit candle can light the unlit and reveal the dimension of truth, love, and freedom to others. So anyone that shares this message with you are laying the foundation for overcoming any challenges that come your way. It is also a natural law that an unlit candle can never light another candle. So if your friend is a part of the Freedom Foundation movement, their ethos, their ethics, are not bound by the ego perception. They are already awake to that which gains all our real estate from red to green. You are building a new foundation for the next generation, and in freeing yourself, you are also freeing the rest of humanity. So these 7 colours have the capacity to take you beyond your own ignorance and light the way within for yourself. It takes strength of character to look low enough into the human condition to see this, and to disappear within and come out the other side is to revere what lives in the here and now as one complete field. This removes the clutter and reveals the clarity within. Within this framework, you can, from a loving, caring space, hold each other to account and reflect the discipline and the maturity necessary in order to cultivate this reality every day. Isn't it amazing to think the entire story of humanity is written between red to green, with the exception of these few characters that bring in spiritual knowledge? This really is predominantly where the human condition is lived, seen, and experienced within the loop circuit of its own imagination of what it indeed must act and react through in order to survive. Yet in the spiritual, there is no person to perceive any unified field of wisdom, as it is already in that untouchable space that is unchangingly who we are. And when you look at the tragedy of the human condition, and how for generations our forefathers fought for our country, for people who were in service to other agendas. Evil was ruling the world for monetary gain, and people were laying their life down for seemingly king and country. So layer upon layer of unconscious trauma reflects the monkey mind of the human story, and our capacity to see how all that unresolved past can hold us in a kind of a fear-based trance. Yet we are here to break the spells of the past, not to repeat them, and in so rebuild within ourselves in order to be strong in the spirit. Let's start by feeling connected and safe from the green, from within the heart, that sense of balance, your inner connection. Just imagine that. And from this space, I want you to feel how good it feels to be in that sense of being grounded in a family tribal connection. So you just know that you are connected in the red and the people around you in a healthy way. And from that, let's just bring that up to that colour orange, that vibrant colour orange, just below the belly button, clean orange colour. That relates to sexuality. That relates to your connection to how it feels to be a man or a woman, not what we've been, say, advertised to, where the outer world tends to make us believe certain things. This is just appreciating biology, the creativity of that, to being able to express ourselves, emotionally connected, red and orange lit up, and now include that with the colour yellow above the belly button. In the solar plex, a bright yellow colour. Imagine that clean and yellow, that sense of being a separate individual self with your own ideas, your own beliefs and your way of connecting and interacting with other people. It's like the light of the world. And that's nice and clean now, that strong yellow energy. Now coming back to that green, remember that balance you felt. I want you to go deeper now into that green and imagine that connection. Now this is where we go into our inner knowing. And allow that inner dimension from 0 point. This is a higher field of connection to non-duality because it's now being sponsored by the violet. The blue, the indigo and the violet are now open to express an inner connection, to shine into that light in yellow. So just imagine the yellow in that it's really not connected in that loop anymore. It's more connected to an inner faith that can see into the lower realm where we're limited by old beliefs. So just allow those 7 colours to be in balance. The upper is the inner knowing, the faith that can see into the secondary field of the world and how it tends to hold us in patterns of belief. It can tend to loop, and it can also be in perfect harmony from the green connection to what we have within. And so what is above and below is one living field. So just imagine those 7 colours. No conflict, no contradiction, allowing balance. What is above is below, and what is below is also aligned with what is above. So now with this inner faith, I'd like you to take a breath. And when we take a breath, we're going to take a breath up into the non-duality of that consciousness that is already here and now. And so when we take that breath in, we're going to blow into that secondary field, right, where we live in the physical 3D world. It's like the 4th dimension is taking a breath in that blows away any of the old beliefs that no longer support red, orange and yellow. So we're about to blow into that secondary field of our beliefs. So take a breath in and the faith and the knowing is cleaning away any of the old beliefs that may have been holding you in a cycle. So just imagine now you're clear to see into your thinking. No longer limited by old beliefs. You can still explore them. You can still be there and still have conversation at the level of belief. But maybe now there's an inner connection to a faith, an inner knowing that is at 0 point ethos that can allow what is above to see into what is below, and for the below to reflect the same as above. And so this is one unifying field where you're developing the ability to see the nature of certain thoughts that may no longer serve you, certain beliefs that you may no longer hold on to. And that is really the only new thing that can happen, because of course the me identity is looping. And yet with this inner connection to 0 point, you already are that which sees the nature of this secondary field, this me. that tends to loop. And so one could say they're free to see the nature of a secondary field, which is the world. And you can learn to stabilize that. And you can learn to trust that. And you can learn to live that. The way you're able to connect with finances, connect with other people. You're not disconnected from them because you're actually in the third dimension, yet what is seeing is the fourth dimension that has no contradiction in that third dimension. So these two fields, one could say, is one, where you really do have that 0 point ethos, where you're not caught in old beliefs. You are anchored in that true sense of something that cannot be shaken. It has the capacity to listen, and the word listen, rejumbled, has the word silent. And so it's only when we're silent is that when we're able to listen from 0 point, truly connecting with people and what they're saying, and not caught in our heads with old beliefs and what it is that we want to repeat in yesterday's story. So, excellent. So thank you for sharing that exercise with me, and I'll see you in the next module.